Let me tell you about ProHealthConnect.com. It's transforming healthcare payments, providing retailers a seamless process for over-the-counter and healthy benefit programs. By connecting retailers, health plans, and payment processors, ProHealth Connect creates one powerful, unified network. They empower independent grocers and pharmacies to accept health benefit cards without changing how they do business. With over 10,000 locations nationwide, helping more than 1.3 million people access the care and nutrition they need. Go to ProHealthConnect.com.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hello, March 31st, 2026, the eve of a monumental moment. We're going back to the moon. Artemis 2 is set to launch tomorrow late afternoon from Kennedy Space Center, and that should be awesome. I think it's fantastic. We're finally going back. I think it's quite frankly ridiculous that we haven't been back since 1972. 1972. Let's do the math. That is 54 years ago. There are middle-aged men walking around right now who weren't alive when we went to the moon in 1972. That is crazy. Totally crazy. Now, we're not going to land. We're going to go around it. We're going to kind of slingshot around it. But since 1972, we've been to space a bunch of times, but never all that far. In fact, let me see. Sometimes you got astronauts who are closer to Los Angeles in outer space than we are. They're only about 200 miles up, tops, when they're in outer space. And we are 3,000 miles away from Los Angeles. I'm looking at the International Space Station. It's approaching L.A. right now. And it's just a couple of hundred miles on top. It's just wild. Now we're going to go 238,000 miles away, even further. We're going to be so far away from Earth when we do this tomorrow. Well, it'll be about 8 days from now. It's going to go to the other side of the moon, much farther than we've ever been before, all the way even back in 1972. 4 human beings. I don't care that we're not landing. That used to impress me. The idea that we're just going to the moon in its orbit in that area. When you figure out how, incredible the engineering, the math is to get us to the moon. That we throw a baseball. Imagine you're standing there on just outside. Go outside with a baseball. Let's pretend your arm were like 10 million times stronger than it is. And your arm was so strong that you could throw a baseball all the way into outer space. How do you get it to the moon? Well, first, you got to aim it. And you got to aim it based on the stars. Okay? How do you do that? I have no idea. The same way we got to the New World, Christopher Columbus, he used the stars. That takes us back to the moon. Now, computers do it now. It used to be slide rules, but once you figure out exactly where you want to aim this ball, you throw it as hard as you can. And even the strongest arm in the world can't actually get it all the way up there. Even the biggest rocket engine can't get the rocket all the way to the moon. We can get it we can get it kind of close. We can get it a little bit more than halfway. And then it starts to kind of just almost stop. And what happens is, at the exact right moment, in the exact right place, the gravity of the moon starts going to work, right? So it starts pulling the ball to the moon. It's like it's like downhill. It gets all the way to this one little critical spot between the Earth and the moon, somewhere about 200,000 miles away, and then it starts falling to the moon. Isn't that incredible? And that's going to happen tomorrow. It's not happened since 1972. I was in nursery school. I vaguely remember Apollo 17, the last time we had astronauts that far away. It's happening tomorrow. I hope they launch. You know, it's one damn thing after another with these rockets. I want them to be safe. I don't want any extra pressure. We don't need a Columbia. We don't need a Challenger. That would be the worst thing ever. So it is wild. You know, we talk about technology, and technology is amazing, and look at our phones. But this rocket, the Artemis 2 rocket, they made it in the same garage where they made the Apollo rocket. It's the same building. They take it out to the launcher on this same crazy crawler machine. This gigantic, it's like a gigantic tank that's flat, and you can put a rocket ship on top. So who are the astronauts? A guy named Glover, a guy named Reed. Let's see here. I don't know the other astronauts. They're not exactly household name famous, are they? And that's okay. It's like kind of no big whoop to a lot of people. Well, I think it's a big whoop. I think it's huge. And I think, quite frankly, Fox News, you know what Fox News is obsessed with right now? That some person made a pro-family speech at CPAC, and some person on The View criticized the speech. Can you believe what Joy Reid said about a speech that I didn't even know about at CPAC? Oh, my God, how dare they? I mean, this is a time of war, everybody. And speaking of war, the Secretary of War and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff had a joint briefing today before reporters. They don't do this very often. They don't do it often enough, in my opinion. Well, I want to hear it, all right? And I think we should take this all in. It runs a little long, but that's okay. For full context, for full perspective, I want to hear everything that they're saying because they don't say it all that often. These opportunities don't come around very often. They should come around basically every day, but they don't. Okay? One other little thing. Now, I can't give it too much credence, but I heard somebody say yesterday, we want the oil, and we are going to take the oil because we need another bargaining chip when it comes to China, because China is about to move in on Taiwan. And if China moves in on Taiwan, guess what Taiwan has? All those computer chips that we need for AI. They make much better computer chips than we have. They're all made there. And if China has that and they don't give us any, we're screwed. So maybe we have to take the oil, okay? So President Trump has something to bargain with. Because, well, China, they get all their oil from the Persian Gulf pretty much. How are we going to have influence and leverage over China? Now, this actually rings true to me. I'm not saying it is true. But if you listen to President Trump over the years, the big sin with him is being stupid when it comes to military action and oil. If you do something, you got to take something. President Trump, over the years, cut two, please, cut two.
When I heard that we were first going into Iraq, some very smart people told me, well, we're actually going for the oil. And I said, all right, I get that. There's nothing else. I get it. We didn't take the oil because they took the oil that when we left Iraq, I said we should have taken. So now ISIS has the oil. 4 years ago, I said bomb the oil and take the oil. And if we did that, they wouldn't have the wealth they have right now.
Well, we should have kept the oil when we got out. And it's very interesting. Had we taken the oil, you wouldn't have ISIS.
The old expression, to the victor belong the spoils. You remember I always used to say, keep the oil.
Huh? What do you think? And so all this stuff about Karg Island and the troops moving in, is that at work right now? It might be. The more I hear him say that and talk like that, I realize this has been a priority of his for a long time. Maybe we have to. I also cut him a lot of slack. There are a million things that he knows or getting access to, intelligence, data, that kind of thing. And some of that data is false. He has a great way of sifting out the true from the false. And I think that I see these guys, especially in conservative media, telling the president exactly what he should be doing. How the hell do you know? How do you know? I know a lot, and I don't know what to do. All right, I'm going to defer to him. I'm not going to defer to the interagency or any of that crap. I'm going to defer to the president. Now, that briefing I was talking about, okay, this was this morning at the Pentagon. Hegseth and Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, I think he's a little bit full of crap. All right? I don't like it when they cite the troops, right? The troops are all for this mission. We don't know that. And quite frankly, it doesn't make any difference. All right? I just don't like the politicization of the troops. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Thank you very much. We're doing this for the kids. I heard this same crap from George W. Bush, and I didn't like it then. All right? Now, this cause is, I believe, more wholesome, obviously legitimate, but easy does it. I don't know. I feel like he hasn't really been around the military all that much. which he actually hasn't. That's another dirty little secret about this guy. All right, I am so over him and the arrogance and the rest of it. He did a couple of good things, but the idea that he has stayed this long when everybody knows he's a huge problem, well, here we are. All right. Is he going to wrap up soon? Or, I mean, you want to be a cheerleader? You want to, remember those male cheerleaders, in college football, those guys? Kind of like that. Real quick, for a guy who says he's so committed to not revealing information about where he is and where he went, he's revealing information about where he is, where he went. He makes a big conspicuous thing. I'm not going to let you know where I went for security purposes to protect those individuals. And now he's basically giving a roadmap as to where he went. All right. Silly. And that tough talk. Oh, real quick. You know what what he's talking about with the mustache, right? Deployment mustache. A lot of guys do this when they deploy. They grow a mustache. They shave their head. They do things that they wouldn't do at home. I remember thinking I was tempted to shave my head. A lot of guys did it on deployment. But then again, I thought, you know what? If I get shot down and I'm on CNN or, they parade me around, I don't want to look like a freak. I want to look like, what happened to Greg Kelly? What's up with this? So I didn't do that. Keep going. Shoot. Well, Kane is going to have some facts. All right. He's lethality and the fighting men and women. It's great to a point. He's overdoing it because he doesn't have that much else to deliver. We'll be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Get in the game with the college-branded Venmo debit card. Wreck your team with every tap and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash, a new rewards program from Venmo. No monthly fee, no minimum balance, just school pride and spending power. Get in the game and sign up for the Venmo debit card at venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, real quick, there was a startling headline last night that the bullet from Tyler Robinson's gun, the guy who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, that the bullet that killed Kirk did not match the gun. But this was a defense brief, and it's their opinion in a sense, and they're citing the ATF. I really like Dan Bongino. I respect his expertise, and he says, and let's face it, where did he just come from, right? The FBI. He says that it's totally and completely bogus. I believe Bongino. I don't believe, I think the Daily Mail, and this is their want, right? This happens. Sometimes the headline gets exaggerated, right? Have we ever seen that before? Sure we have. How about this? The USS George H.W. Bush departed Naval Air Station Norfolk for deployment and will catch up with the rest of the strike group. All right, so another aircraft carrier is on its way to the region. The George H.W. Bush, that is a great big, massive aircraft carrier. Curiously, I think it is a member of the Gerald Ford class, who deserves their own, they have a class of warship, you know what I mean? And then they have subsets. Basically, my thing is Gerald Ford is getting more credit than almost any other president right now, and he was a half-term president who wasn't even elected vice president and was never elected president. How about that? It's weird. Pick it up, please, with Hegseth, the indignant, touchy Secretary of War. You know what? I'm sorry. I want a little bit. I want colder. I want it to be cold, a little bit cold, and too much emotion, and too much weird taunting of the enemy. Right? Is almost like too impressed with our own forces. We're good. We don't have to. When you're that good, I don't think you have to brag about it. I don't know. There's something off, and there always has been with that guy. The guy actually paid off a woman to go away when she had allegations of sexual assault against him. He paid her. And he didn't tell President Trump about that. I think that's a huge problem. And I wonder, a guy like that, he almost seems to, and President Trump said this the other day, he doesn't want the war to end because he likes it. He likes it. And this way, the questions are I don't know. Like, they'll never go to his management. They'll never go to his personal. It's all about the war, and those things aren't as big an issue. Almost like it's in his own personal interest. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. I think he was the man to fire CQ Brown. He was the man to call out the complacent culture of the military and the risk avoidance of it. But seeing him in action right now, quite frankly, is embarrassing. All right, to all involved. And they know it. I know it. I know they fooled a few people out there. Oh, what are you talking about that for? Get behind Hegseth. No. I spent too long in that organization, really, to just sit and watch that kind of performance and not say anything. And by that kind of performance, I mean all of this, all of it. All of it. What the hell are you talking about? This is the kind of thing that makes me really wonder what is going on with this operation. You're going to talk about a funeral for some guy who died 2 years ago? You're playing us for suckers right now. You're hiding behind these people. You're hiding. You're trying to neutralize tough questions, and you're running out the clock. A 102-year-old guy died 2 years ago, and this is how we're at war right now. We just had to undergo that lecture about how great the troops are, and we know that. We don't need a guy like Pete telling us that, kind of like wagging his finger. Goodness gracious. A 102-year-old guy died 2 years ago, and we're going to have a moment of silence? Are you nuts? I'm worried about the 20-year-old right now, there. For crying out loud. You know, Kane, come on, man. You know, some people may fall for this schmaltzy stuff, and we honor and respect those who serve, but don't use that against us. Don't play this little trick. It's a trick. Trickery. I don't like it. I don't care. I don't care if that sounds insensitive. It's not, by the way. It's not. You know, people die every day. A 102-year-old guy died 2 years ago, and the Joint Force was proud to participate. Are you crazy? You got other priorities. If I stopped this guy right now, I said, hey, real quick, what's the name of that guy you went to yesterday? He wouldn't know. All right, pick it up. He better say this and get the hell out. Hey, shut up for a second. What the freaking hell? Eleanor died 11 years ago? We got a war underway right now, and this guy is tap dancing, running out the clock. I don't like it. And I was a pilot. Forgive me. I mean, maybe I heard of this guy, but I don't recall in the moment. Did he write that book about air combat that we all had to read? Did he write that book? I'll find out. Maybe he wrote that book about air combat, and that's a mention on the social media. This is what you have social media for. The Joint Chiefs and the Secretary of Defense, they have social media for this kind of stuff. This is only the fifth time they briefed since February, and it's April, for crying out loud, in a couple of hours. For crying out loud. All right. I'm sorry. Wait a second. We're going to mourn for a 102-year-old loss? He died 2 years ago? We don't have time. What the hell is this? You guys funeral directors? Are you guys the freaking Secretary of War, the Department of War? Oh, my goodness gracious. It's so... Am I being insensitive here? Yeah, maybe. You got to be a little bit insensitive in our business, quite frankly, the military business. And at heart, I'm still a military man. 19 years old, I showed up at Quantico. When I left, I was 40-something, for crying out loud. Jeez. You're playing me. You're playing us. You're playing us like suckers. All right, you going to get to the meat and potatoes here or what? All right, now you got me wondering about these B-52s. The B-52s has been flying over Iran for about 10 days. I don't know. To say that they're flying right over it never occurred to me, to be honest. I guess were they firing standoff munitions, outside? I don't know. But for the guys who are very concerned about OPSEC, operational security, and they should be, they're violating their OPSEC a little bit. Operation, I don't need to know where that B-52 is. I mean, kinda, I guess, now that you mention it. Okay, and those things, by the way, are shoot downable. They are. All right, I'm sorry, but there was not enough specificity, and at the same time, there was too much specificity. Right now, we're going to the people who make the bombs, the people who do that for a living. By the way, congratulations. If you want to talk about bombs, we could talk about the shortage of bombs. We are very, very, we are dangerously low with our munitions. Dangerously low. Large part of that is because we gave so much of them to the Ukrainians for that stuff. It's just, here we are. I'm not happy about this. All right. I want you to shoot straight with me. I know they can shoot straight with the bombs and the bullets, but they're not shooting straight with the American people. Now, sometimes you got to pull the wool over people's eyes. Sometimes you got to be a little bit deceptive, but they're not even being clever about it. I don't know. Something is off. Let me just see how much. Do we want to? No, I don't think we do. Look, I'm very sensitive to military affairs because I was in that organization for so long. And I don't like what I just heard, right? Using the military, hiding behind the military, right? They're trying to basically discourage and inhibit questions by talking in such kind of reverential tones about the fighting men and women. It's a little trick, and I've seen it a million times. Now, do me a favor. Can you skip a little bit ahead? All right. Oh, shoot. All right. We'll take the quick break. All due respect to the people who make bombs. All right, great. But I got to find out what's happening today. All right, what's happening right now and how these guys are saying it and what they're saying, okay? Excuse me. Someone will be right with you.
Greg Kelly on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Introducing Home Care Plus, a new subscription service from Lowe's that helps make life easier by giving members a hand with home maintenance. Let Lowe's tackle the tasks you keep meaning to do, like electric dryer vent cleaning, replacing hard-to-reach light bulbs, and more. Subscribe to Home Care Plus for just $99 a year and consider your to-do list done. Members get more at Lowe's. Available in select zip codes only. Cancel anytime. Non-refundable fee. Product purchase required. Terms and service restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, hello. Real quick, just so everybody knows, Curtis Sliwa, you probably picked this up over the past couple of decades. Not a serious person, not a smart person, not a person of integrity, and not a person of any particular political skill whatsoever. If you combine all of his votes that he got during two elections for mayor, I don't think he breaks 40%. If you add it all up, he ran in 2021, lost huge to Eric Adams. He runs in 2025, loses even huger to Mamdani and Cuomo with 7% of the vote. 7%. He doesn't know anything. He's like a child. He's like I once saw him do this. You ever see him do that with his, what was that? Baby Louie? Who's that little cartoon character? Chili Willy? Somebody like that? And I'll find out. A lot of people have had it with him, period. And that dopey, phony baloney, only funny if you're high skit he did with Mamdani. Let's see here. Cut 16, if you don't mind. Cut 16.
So you're here for a cat allergy shot, huh?
Yes, sir. My wife and I are adopting a cat.
It never stops with one or two. Oh, no, it doesn't. How many shots have you gotten up to now?
This is actually going to be my third shot.
Oh, your third. Mm-hmm. I got 5 shots in the back of a cab.
Back of a cab?
Well, it's before your time. Doctors Gambino and Doctors Gotti, they did things a lot differently back in the day.
I could spend most of my life talking about the time a bomb went off next to me in Iraq, right? That happened. But I don't like to live in the past. That's Sliwa. He lives in the past. Look at that stupid getup. The red, shiny, satiny jacket and that dumb beret, right? It was fashionable maybe for a few months in 1976. That was kind of cutting edge. He even has the same dopey Fat Albert font that he uses. Now, he did this thing, and who knows what else he's doing with Mamdani, to be honest, but maybe it includes smoking weed. Now, I saw a lot of antics from Mamdani over the past couple of months and the other night and the rest. You got to factor this in, folks. The man is high on drugs. High. He admits it. He absolutely admits it. Are you ready? This was in the debate. These are the kinds of things that if you said yes, it would get you in trouble, you would actually have to drop out of the race. Now you don't have to do that. Cut 18, please. Cut 18.
Have you ever purchased anything in a cannabis shop? And if so, what did you buy, Mr. Mamdani?
I have. I have purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop.
Yeah, who doesn't smoke marijuana? And that's the thing. Who doesn't smoke marijuana? Hey, by the way, you potheads, it's still illegal to smoke that crap outside. It is still illegal to smoke that crap. And people are doing it. What is it? A blunt? A blunt, right? A blunt. Is that the cool word for is that the cool word for a marijuana cigarette? That's what I hear. Can we go back to our friend there, General Kane? Is he going to get serious here in a moment, or is it still hiding behind the troops and hiding behind the civilians who work in some factory in Mississippi? You know, anytime they say men and women, heads up, the men and women of the police, the men and women of the factories, that's when they're about to pickpocket you, okay? When they start praising the men and women. Remember that. It's a job. It's a job. Jesus, all the ass kissing that's going on. All right? They got combat operations underway right now, and these guys are using euphemisms and they're hiding. I don't like it. Something is up. I'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?